Come on, cheer it up. Let's go have a cheer. You, T, none of that?
Oh! We're Utah Arts Academy. I thought you were saying the Utes.
No, the U. I started with the U. I thought you guys had it.
We don't have sports. So.
Oh, okay. So you guys don't have like a pep?
No, yeah.
Okay. So in my high school, we had a pep
We had a dance
cheer.
team.
And we'd start off with saying your letters like
Yeah.
U, T.
Right. Yeah, we really should have something. Yeah.
But anyway. Okay, what's your school song?
It's really long.
Oh, well, how long is it?
I was a decent
Pardon me?
Oh!
It's on that screen over there. This is
Right.
We're good.
Yeah. Okay, it's rolling.
We're good, Wanda. And Miss Wanda Ray Willis, I keep saying Way. It's Wanda Ray. It's a tongue twister. She is going to be doing the story of Dorothy Dandridge. And she can tell you the awards that she's won doing this. And she can tell you more about it by doing it. Thank you. Take it away.
Oh, just returning from a photo shoot for Carmen Jones. Oh, I'm so glad they still remember me for that. And I'm so glad the doctor gave me a needle for my foot. I don't feel a thing. I can even spin, see? Carmen Jones, one of the highlights of my life. You know, in my life, I've had many, many ups and downs. And here I am on another new beginning. I've got dresses to pack and sheet music and script to go through. My life. Let me start at the beginning. My mother's room. You know, my mother, she left my father, her husband, Cyril Dandridge, when she was 5 months pregnant with me in 1922. Oh, they fought like oil and water. You know, Mommy, she wanted to be a film artist. She did not want to have any children. I don't know much about my father, except that I had his, well, I was told, I had his gentle mannerisms, strong forehead, and large, deep-set eyes. I did get to meet him when I was 16, when he tried to catch up with me. He was a nice man. Oh, short, but nice. Mama lived with her lover, Geneva Williams, who Viv and me had to call Auntie Mama. She took care of us when Mommy was away. But Viv and me, we spent many nights just holding each other and crying ourselves to sleep when Mommy was gone. Well, Auntie Mama, she hated Viv and me, and she would beat us every day. She even sexually abused me. But yet I still kept smiling and performing while being abused. Dottie, you need to put this water on stage right, and Dottie, we need this towel on stage left. Dottie this, Dottie that. Oh, but the stage, I had power and confidence, and I was free, and I loved it. I loved to sing, act, and dance, and was great at it. Singing and dancing, something I love. Spring comes from heaven, mixed in my blood. just begun. I just glow and blossom when I'm dancing, having fun. I fly and gossamer wings. My body becomes like a drum. My troubles behind me don't matter, as long as I'm on stage with a dance and a song. Yes! Love to sing a song. Oh, my mind is free. Watch me sing and watch me dance, and you will smile with me. Love to sing a song. Dance and move around. No more scaredy cat. No more this and that. Singing, dancing. I feel free. I feel free. Yes, I love to sing and dance. Love the stage. Oh, woo. One afternoon, Mommy came home, and she said she was tired and she couldn't do her night performing job. You see, Mommy worked for a big white building for the Social Security downtown, and at night, I think I want to take this one and this one. At night, she had a job performing. She said, I'm tired, I can't do that. I said, Mommy, I can do it. She was shocked. I had all of her facial expressions, vocal intonations, and dance moves. Oh, yes. Seeing a money-making opportunity, Auntie Mama and Mama added Viv and me to the act, producing the Wanda Kids. We performed all over the South in many, many churches. Now that's when and where those men begin to notice my sexuality and beauty. I hated it. I wasn't even a teenager yet. But you know, on that stage, I felt safe and secure. And I was free from all the turmoil of Auntie Mama that hung over me and permeating my thoughts and spirits when not performing. And always seeking approval from others. My mother, Auntie Mama, my sister Vivian, and my husband's. Yes, I've had two so far. And always finding self-worth unattainable when not performing. But on stage, I stopped feeling like a lost little fawn, all alone in the woods, wide-eyed and wandering, and like a bird that didn't know where to land. You know, maybe I was looking for the love I never had with my mother and father. And through my life, it just seemed that just when things were going great and my soul was happy, something would go wrong. I just wanted someone who would love me too. If you do, then I'd be so good to you. This one's too short. All I ask is for your hand, for you to be my man. My love, it has no end. When you smile, I get a giggle inside. When you laugh, oh, I just smile until I cry. If you come to me, my love, I swear by stars above, I'll never break your heart or make you. I'll 1926. The four of us left to go to Los Angeles. Getting work was hard for Viv and me. They kept telling us we were too light for colored work. Now, you know I'm mixed. My father was Mexican English, and my mother, Ruby Dandridge, she was black. I think I'll take this one. I never denied my blackness, and was always very proud of my race, even writing letters about the racial inequalities in this country. And I got to introduce Martin Luther King Jr. in 1963 at what he himself said was the largest and most enthusiastic rally he'd seen, right in Los Angeles, Wrigley Field, with over 50,000 people. Oh, but I so enjoyed being in Europe, where I felt like a person, a real being. Well, Viv and me, along with our neighbor, Auntie Jones, we formed the Dandridge Sisters. We joined the Five Rhythmics and worked steadily for 5 years in all of the outer line cities like Santa Ana, Santa Barbara, probably Utah, Santa Barbara, Santa Monica. Oh, the ones, Long Beach, that didn't mind the way that we looked. We made our film debut in the big broadcast of 1936. Now, when I traveled to Europe, I felt that freedom again. And when I went to New York, that's when I met Mr. Harold Nicholas. He was rehearsing, and when I walked in, I stopped him dead in his tracks. He was really a great dancer. The attraction between us was immediate. His eyes really locked on me. Just so you know, both Fayad, his brother, and Harold were interested, but Harold won. He got the prize. We performed at the Cocky Club with Bing Crosby, the Frank and Benny Dancers, Martin Moreland, Bill Bojangles Robinson, and the Nicholas Brothers. Well, Harold began to court me. He'd take me out to dinner and for long drives in his beautiful, beautiful car. But Auntie Mama, with her jealous, evil, watchful eyes, she would stretch those eyes for as long as she could. I was only 16. Then I broke from the Dandridge Sisters, doing the movie For Show Die and a production of Meet the People. The Dandridge Sisters were over. I was in the movie The Lady from Louisiana with the cowboy, Bruce Wayne. And I had a gig at the Cafe It in Los Angeles. And then in 1941, I was in 20th Century Fox's Sun Valley Serenade with the Nicholas Brothers. Oh, I was over the moon, singing and tap dancing in a movie with them, a movie with the Nicholas Brothers. Pardon me, boys, is this the Chattanooga Choo-Choo? Track 29. I was in 5 films in 1941. Sun Valley Serenade, The Lady from Louisiana, Bahama Pass, Sundown. And I was working at the Cafe It and the Orpheus Theater with the Floyd Ray Orchestra. Harold continued to court me. Decided to get married before it got out of hand. Now, Mama and Auntie Mama were thrilled. Married now. Auntie Mama Ma, she couldn't touch me with those eyes anymore. I was free. How happy we will be. 'Cause this man, he loves me. And I love him. He makes me spin and laugh out loud in glee. How happy we will be. I hope that he can see that love is all, love is pure. Love can open any door. This is my dream place to be. When he looks in my eyes, all I do is smile. Then he holds me tight. Ooh, that's good for a while. How happy we will be. Sexual experiences. Finally frustrated, Harold turned his back to me, and I lay sobbing quietly on our wedding night. Harold's turning away grew more, and he turned away from our home on Arlington Avenue in an almost all-white residential area in Los Angeles. Parties, golf games became his main objective. You know, sometimes he wouldn't come home until very, very late at night, or early the next morning. But he always came home eventually. At night he goes, I'm missing you. know if they were causing trouble for her. She was also very, very intelligent, especially about black issues. So with my fantastic memory, I soaked up information from her like a little sponge, and I smelled so much better when I talked to her about Harold and I's problems. Then in March of 1941, I found out I was pregnant. I was so happy. You know, we both were for a while. I awoke on September 1st in great pain, convinced the baby was coming, but Harold, who thought it was a false alarm, he quieted me down on the phone with my mother, Ruby, and then he took me to Jerry's house, and he said he would be back early in the afternoon, but not before getting a good scolding from Jerry, who was angry he would leave his wife, knowing the baby might be coming at any time. Well, I kept thinking, oh, he won't leave me. He's coming back early, like he said. And then my contractions started. And Jerry and her sister Rose, they tried to get me to the hospital sooner, but I wanted to wait on Harold. You know, this was our firstborn. I wanted my husband to be there for the birth of our baby, so we waited. But when my water bag broke, I could feel everything just coming apart inside. Oh, Harold, where are you, Harold? The baby's coming. Well, we left to go to the hospital. And when we got there, it was another wait. Delivery of my daughter was horrible. They had to use forceps to help her to come, and you know, those scars, they served as a constant reminder to me. But finally, on September 2nd, 1942, at 2:42 a.m., Harold arrived. Harold, he got there a little less than an hour after she was born. But it was such a joy to hold my daughter in my arms for the first time. And when we left that hospital, those blue skies were just glistening for us. Friends, neighbors, and family members came by to see my beautiful, beautiful daughter. She was just perfect. But then in 1943, I really began to worry about Harold. She would scream and cry all day long. I tried everything, different formulas, lighting, yet nothing worked. I took Lynn to see many, many doctors, and these visits usually ended with me sitting there, crying my eyes out. While Lynn would stand, or she would sit, and then she would start to make, you know, those little noises they would make. Finally, in 1945, later that year, the doctors told me that my daughter would never reach beyond the mentality of a 3-year-old child. Cry, scream all day long. And you know my daughter Lynn, she never spoke, not one word. Can you imagine that? To never hear your child speak or say the words, Mama or Dada. Well, Harold, he couldn't deal with the situation, and he just threw himself into his work and other women. My sadness was really getting to me, and I flew to Europe where he was working to be with him, and he didn't even acknowledge Jerry and I. I was so upset and hurt. I took some pills. But Jerry, she found me and rushed me to the hospital. Jerry, I don't know what I'd do or where I'd be without you. Finally, I realized my marriage to Harold had crumbled to nothing, and I had to leave him. I had to tell myself, Dottie, get out! Get out! Get out! I had to tell myself over and over, because I love. When you love a man, he can do no wrong, no he can't. And the sun until 1951, after I had exhausted all chances of a reconciliation with Harold. Now, during the separation from Harold, which began in 1948, I began taking classes at the Actors Studio Lab. Now, they were considered communists for taking in students like myself, anyone who was involved in any civil rights activities, even myself. I was at an event, and there were some civil rights leaders present, and I got up and sang some songs. But a sophisticated letter from Zanuck and 20th Century Fox squashed those rumors that had been spreading throughout the industry. At the Actors Lab, I met and became close friends with Marilyn Monroe. We were just like sisters. And Marilyn spent many nights sleeping on the white rug beside the fireplace at my Hilldale home. After telling me all about her loves, relationships, projects, everything. Anything there was to know about Marilyn Monroe, I knew it, and Peter Lawford knew it. We were like 3 peas in a pod. I continued my relationship with Fillmore, and that's when I started my sex symbol image in the nightclub. Then I heard about Otto Preminger, the director Otto Preminger, producing and directing the film Carmen Jones with an all-black cast. The first of its kind to be done in brilliant Technicolor. Getting this leading role was a pivotal point in my career. By now, 1954, the industry still had not created dramatic roles for black actresses. Oh, I was going to change that. But this dress here, I've got to see if it still fits me because I had it on the other day and it was a bit snug. So let's see. For my next appointment, oh, it feels pretty good. For my next appointment with Otto, I sashayed into his office, perfect it fits, with a sultry outfit and a short, sassy wig. Otto's jaw dropped. I got the part. Here I shine again, ready to take that vow. Of all the times I needed strength, I had now. Here I shine again, shining my name on the line. Been down a bit, but now I'm ready to shine. Was down in the dungeons, left all alone in the dark. But now I've risen, this song I sing from my heart. Here I shine again, after the gloom is through. I shine, I'm coming back. Heart is full of love and that, shining like I always knew I could shine. I could shine for you and you and you and you and you. Remember that the time is now. Yes! Oh, Carmen Jones. Oh, Carmen Jones. The production started in April of 1954. That same month, Peter Lawford married Patricia Kennedy. So that meant our secret love affair was over, and we could never be married. Then I began to hear about all of the negative rumors spreading throughout our community about me, a black woman, portraying this sultry, seductive, common role, and then jealousy from friends and others. I got so stressed, I just stayed in my apartment. But you know, one visit from Otto and encouraging words from my manager, Earl Mills, convinced me to continue with the role. And Otto and I's professional friendship, well, it turned into love and a long relationship. He gave me everything I needed: clothes, money, and love. He had 2 taboos though. He was white and he was married. And even with the negative vibes I kept getting from everyone, I still thought we would get married. He even bought me a beautiful home on Avenue Drive that I loved and entertained with many distinguished guests. be the first black industry professional and actress to get a 3-year contract with Fox, starting at $75,000 per film to escalate to $125,000 per film. Carmen Jones also led to me being the first black actress to be nominated for an award in a leading role. Oh, I was over the moon. Nothing was gonna stop me. I was the first black entertainer, industry professional to be on the cover of Life magazine. Nothing was gonna stop me now, nothing. Then I turned down the role offered to me by Fox in The King and I at Otto's discretion. But really, I didn't want to play the part of a slave. I didn't want any of those roles that they were throwing at us black actresses. So, many projects ended in dead-end deals like remake of Black Orpheus. All a part of Otto's promised work for me. Now, Otto and I parted, but not before me getting pregnant and having an abortion. You know how much I loved kids. You know, I'm only in my 40s. I was hoping to have more children, but you never know, maybe next year. The next film that came my way, after turning down the role in The King and I, was Island in the Sun, 1957. Oh, such a controversial film. I became the first black actress to star in a film with a white romantic leading partner. But because of the racism in this country, America, we couldn't even kiss, only light touching. Such a stressful time for me. Then I did Porgy and Bess. And with Otto Preminger being the director, it was a horrible experience. He would scream and shout directions at the actors and treat them and me like dirt. I remember leaving the set after filming the Brock Peters rape scene. I had black and blue bruises all up and down my arms from him pushing and pulling on me. But I played Bess anyway, even getting a Golden Globe Award nomination for my portrayal. So it was back to performing in clubs, the Biltmore, the Macombo, the Waldorf Astoria, which I was the first black entertainer to headline there. Of course, after demanding that blacks be able to sit and go wherever they wanted to in that fine establishment. I have to admit, I did call the front desk and let them know how hot I was after I saw them swimming in the pool, and they told me the pool was broken. Now, the Riviera Hotel was where I met Jack Dennison. Ooh, he was a handsome, grain Greek man with all the smoothness and charm. He charmed his way into my heart with his spectacular looks. I guess he did own up to his hidden intentions, which were to use me and my money. Once married, he proceeded to run me into the ground financially and emotionally. Now, I was making great money in '59 when we married. I even gave him money to open up a restaurant on Sunset Boulevard before we were married. He was extremely abusive, and I'm so glad I didn't put his name on the deed to our house. No, my house that I purchased before we were married. He was ordered to leave, and the divorce was final 1 year later. He, of course, continued to try to contact me for more money through my dear friend Herb Jeffries, but I never would speak to or see that man ever again. Oh. 62. I filed for bankruptcy. And I had to move from that house that I practically built from the ground up. I mean, I designed everything. floor, every corner, every alleyway. Oh, I had to leave that, and I moved to a smaller house on Norman Place. Also in 62, my dear friend, my dear sweet Marilyn, she was found dead soon after her breakup with President Kennedy. Here it is, 1965, and I still miss her. We were so close and we were so much alike in many ways. We both were sexually abused as children. We both were always seeking approval from others. We both achieved great success in the industry, recording and films. But she, of course, received more acclaim and more notoriety for that because of the racism. And also, in 62, Helen Calhoun, who had been taking care of my daughter Lynn, she sent her back to me on the train. I went to pick her up. I was so happy. I was excited. My baby was coming home again. But I could not handle it. She had this strong determination, and she would pound on the piano all day long. It drove me crazy. Jerry and her legal friends, they helped me take care of it, and I remember in the courtroom, I went out to get some water, and I collapsed. My legs just collapsed beneath me, and I was so ashamed when they sent my Lynn, my daughter, to the Camarillo Institution of California. I failed again. I failed with my marriage. And now I failed with Lynn. And in 62, I bounced back again. Tokyo, Puerto Rico, Mexico. I was working again. But every penny I made went to the IRS. Finally, my lawyers fought for my case with the IRS and convinced them that I was ill and broke. So they put me in the dead file. With no money and no work, I had to move to a smaller apartment on Fountain Avenue in West Hollywood. And I did my first autobiography, Everything and Nothing. I did a casino in Las Vegas, made through it, and then a stage production. I got pretty good reviews. But then, no more work. No more work. So I began to get depressed, and the prescription prescribed Trophanil gave me a puffy face and body. I really did look terrible. And people began to worry about me, especially my manager, Earl Mills. He had his own key, so he could come in and check up on me whenever he wanted to. Harold and Thea, they came by to see me, and so did Otto. But Otto just stood there. He wouldn't even touch me. Now, I knew he would have given me money, but I didn't want nothing from him. Him and that Jack Dennison, I hoped he would see me and feel guilty. And that Jack forcing me to work in his nightclub night after night. And every night I stepped on that stage, my value in film went down, down, down. And you, Otto, they begged me to take the part, and you told me not to take it. Your career accelerated, and I lost. I was a fool to listen to you. What a fool I was. What a fool I was to listen Then in 1965, I bounced back again. Joe Glasser, who was determined to rebuild my career, he got me a gig at the New York club, Basin Street East Grill, that was to start on September 10th, the beginning of a long engagement. My manager, Earl Mills, he got me a gig working in the carnival room of the Sheraton Hotel. I began taking dance classes and exercise classes to build up the stamina needed for the lineup of shows I was doing. And I still went out to auditions for speaking parts in commercials. And I tried to help my friends in the industry so much. I always tried to help, and I never wished ill on any of them. But they always wished ill on me all the time. I helped Billie Holiday quite a lot. She and I were close friends. And when the cops were hot on her trail, she'd stay in my apartment, and I'd literally spoon-feed Billie and give her money and dresses to wear. But you know, Billie, she didn't even know what was going on. I always tried to help. Then in a few days, things began to look even better. Through my manager, Earl Mills, I was contracted to star in a film in Mexico. $50,000. Contracts were signed. Eyes dotted, T's crossed. Another new beginning for me. While working out at the gym, I tripped going down the stairs, but I didn't think anything of it. I kept going. But on the trip to Mexico to meet with producers and directors, the pain persisted. So I saw a doctor there. She x-rayed it and found a tiny bone fracture right here in my right foot. She advised me to get a cast put on it as soon as I returned to the U.S. Once in the U.S., this was confirmed with the bone specialist, and I was set to get the cast put on it the next day, tomorrow. The doctor said I'd be dancing on my foot within 24 hours of getting the cast. This one, yes. Oh, goodness. I've got a few more things to do. And guess what? While meeting with producers and directors about the one film in Mexico, they upped the ante from 1 to 2 films at $50,000 each. Oh, Dr. Maria, I love this dress. Earl is picking me up very early in the morning. We've got lots of things to do. And still got things to do. Oh, yes. Yes. I think I'll leave this dress here. So I think I'm going to take a little snooze. Be ready in the morning. This is there. This is here. Oh. I'm going to take a little sleep here. Oh. I heard Earl. I heard him knocking on my door, but he shouldn't have any trouble getting in. He had his own key. And I didn't put that chain lock on my door. He used a chain lock on Fountain Avenue in West Hollywood in 1965. I didn't. Then I heard Earl come back, and this time he busted my door open with a tire iron and was running through my apartment calling, "Dorothy, where are you, Daddy? You've got to go. Dorothy, oh Dorothy, Dorothy." Then he stopped and was saying, "My angel face, over and over." But I didn't wake up. I visited Jerry in a dream, and she looked up at me and she said, "Dottie, are you sure you're okay?" And I looked down at her and smiled and said, "Oh, absolutely, Jerry. You see, Jerry, up here, there's nothing for me to cry about." Singing and dancing.
a round of applause.
Yeah.
Everybody, thank you. So, I'd like to have Wanda talk a little bit about herself and her career, and then if HB would bless us with a couple words also of his career, and that's pretty much it.
Okay, well, if there are any questions, or I'll just talk a little bit more. Any questions first? Yes.
So you said you've done this for 50 times?
Yes, and I made it international, and I did everything. I designed the sets, everything. I wrote the lyrics, I wrote the script, I did the costuming, hair, makeup, everything.
That's so good.
Yeah, it seemed like when I was writing the script, it was just divine order. It was just pouring from my fingers what I wanted to say about her, because if you noticed, the script entails a lot about her achievements in society and the industry that are not in any of the other documentaries and things I've seen about Dorothy Dandridge. And so I really feel that's why I'm so passionate about it, is because she needs the people to know that she's not just Carmen Jones. She's not just, involved with this person and had a special child, Harold, and married to Harold. She was so much more. She was in over 41 films, and those sheets I give you lists most of her achievements in society and the industry. And a little bit about me as far as doing this and myself. When I was very young, I was always singing and dancing around the house. And we had an aunt who lived in New York. And I would always put shows on for people like Leslie Tyler, very, very young, 5, 4, 5, what have you. And she told my mom and dad, Aunt Dora said, you need to take Wanda to Hollywood, because she reminds me of that Dorothy girl over there when she's doing that. So that I wasn't even thinking of that when I just happened to get a part in another solo Dorothy Dandridge production that I didn't write, but I assisted with it, and I got a nomination for Best Solo Show, but I didn't win, but I got the nomination, and it just played through me. She played through me. I just channeled her. I didn't study a lot of tapes about her to do this. I read some books. In fact, when I was living in Baltimore, going to school, university there, the guy who lived across from me in the apartment, he said, you look so much like Dorothy Dandridge. Let you borrow this book. And it was her first autobiography, Everything But Nothing. And more on that, when I did one of my Dorothy shows, a person bought me the book, the original cover of the book in a frame. It's about this big. And they said, you deserve to have this. And it belonged to Haley Berry, because Haley Berry was having an estate sale. And she just gave it to him, because he's a lawyer. And I guess she just gave it to him. And so now I have it, and I would never have given that to anybody. I cherish it forever. So that's kind of why I'm so passionate about doing this because she embodied it, and she just came to me. I mean, I live in Los Angeles, and sometimes still today, driving around Los Angeles for places where she lived, I feel a sense of belonging. I feel a sense of, oh, Dorothy used to go here and this and that and stuff like that. It's so much a part of me, because I really believe her true story should be told, because it would inspire, especially females in the industry, or just to do anything, because if you remember, so many things happened to her, but she kept getting up. She kept, didn't you feel that? Because that's what I want to do when I do this, is to inspire people to, no matter what the consequences you're going through, you have to keep getting up. Don't let society dictate how you're going to live your life. You have to be that inspired person, because we're not delivered a silver spoon in our mouths when we're born. We're born in a world that has a lot of different things going on. Good things, a lot of good things, and some bad things. So that's why I enjoy doing this too much, to inspire people. Because you have to be that inspired. Even my personal life, you have to be that inspired person. And and now you may talk about I had my degree in music theater voice from Jersey City. It became a university while I was attending there. Music theater voice, that's in New Jersey. And I did do an off-Broadway in New York, off-Broadway there. And I did a Gilbert and Sullivan musical. I played lead part Josephine. And I was in the other one, I can't think of the name of, Pirates of Penzance, that's what it was called. And a lot of other things along the way that helped to build. I would get newspaper articles. I was with the Arena Players in Baltimore, a very esteemed group. And the Ida Peters, she wrote an article about me explaining that I played Pearly Victorious and I was almost as good as Melba Moore. So those little, and there are more things, but those little things keep pushing me to continue. I don't really go by what friends say about me because, I do. I enjoy them patting me on the back and saying, oh, that was great, or family, but the people that really matter to me, to propel me more to do it, are people like HB and Sydney and other people that I know who are in the business and who are doing it. And I know they're not going to lie and tell me, Wanda, you were really good just because of who I am. They're going to give me critiques, which I love. In my career, I what do you call that word? I embrace somebody in the know to critique me. Okay, tell me, I'm also in a big band, and this is a good example of this. I'm in a big band, 17-piece orchestra, and we play at the Barclays in Pasadena every first Tuesday, and we do other gigs as well. And those musicians in that band, some of them play for the Grammys. They have played for who's who. They played for them. They're on their material and all that stuff like that. So the last rehearsal we did, there was a guy who was the right-hand man to Sinatra. He even came in with Sinatra's music, his charts, because singers, we have to have charts if we're going to play with the band. You got to have the charts for the trumpets, all this 4 trumpets, the trombones, all the 4 saxes, etc. You probably know about that. And I was just floored. I was like, what? And then he sang, and so I went and stood back instead of just sitting down. I went back and I was studying the way he sang. Because people like that, you can learn from them. And when it was my turn to sing for the rehearsal, I tried some of his technique, and I said, shit, this is the jam. I could feel it, I could feel myself learning something new. Oh, I'm always willing to learn something new. I'm always willing to take critiques from other people who know and are in the know. What else would I care? And I am an inspired person, really, for sure. Sometimes where I live is not really right. And I remember Steve Harvey, because I listened to his radio show in Los Angeles. You all know who Steve Harvey is. Well, I listened to his radio show in Los Angeles, and he also was the host when I was opening for Gladys Knight in Bermuda, but this was years ago, 2004. But anyway, I opened for her, and he was the MC. And he made some really good remarks about me and whatnot. But I brought up his name to say, he has a radio show, and on his radio show, it's very inspirational. And he said, what did he say about being an inspired person? Oh, he said, you know what? I'm telling you all now, you know how you talk. Everything don't have to be just right where you're living. You don't have to have the brand new couch or the brand new rug. Sometimes you gotta have the struggle. I lived in a car for months and yada, yada, yada. And that is so true, because sometimes in my life and career, I've had things that are just right. And sometimes I've not had things that are just right, but I continue to propel myself forward and not let my surroundings dictate what I'm gonna do. I don't get depressed, so you have to sometimes come out of that, because sometimes you're not gonna have the apartment that you want, and as artists, we make a lot of sacrifices, we could have had this, but we're artists, and as artists, we have a gift from the divine order, from God, or whatever you call that person, that spiritual person that we were born with. So we're here to really make the world better and be an example for others. And one of the things we have to do as artists is sometimes we have to be an inspired person. We have to, sometimes things are just not right, but we have to maneuver through it and keep on going and keep looking up, because you never know what the divine order will provide for you. You don't ever know who you're going to meet that could enhance your career. You don't ever know who you're going to meet that can say, well, we need this. Can you do this? I mean, I've heard so many stories from accomplished artists that has happened, you know. You just never know. So you have to keep moving forward. And I think that kind of sums it up with my career. Because even though I'm not 21, but I still, you know, am doing things and I'm still progressing due to my belief, my faith, and taking criticisms, not having an attitude when it's time for the show. You know, you have to be professional and always willing to learn something new. Always. And never thinking I'm a diva and I'm the best. I never ever think that. I don't like, you know, when people say, oh, you're the best. I said, no, like Charlie Parker said, he says, he and his statement said that when people would you know who Charlie Parker is, right? The saxophone player. When people would congratulate him about his performance, he would say, he said, you know what, they congratulate me, but you know, the next time they see me, I'm going to be better than that. Because you have to practice. You can't just jump up and do something. When you practice, you get the full effect of what the divine order has blessed you with, your talent. You have to practice, put it in your regime. So I do that too. Like, you know, I don't have a studio to practice in, but I'm driving in my car in an hour and a half traffic going to work, wherever in LA, and I'm saying my script. And I don't care if the people beside me are looking at me like, what's that crazy woman doing? I'm there saying my script and just going off in my car, yada, yada, yada. And, you know, it's just, you gotta just keep focusing and keep forward. Yes, focus.
Preparation, remember we talked about that?
Yes.
Preparation means opportunity is luck. It's not luck, you're prepared.
Yeah.
Yes, prepared for the opportunities.
You can't get lucky if you're not prepared.
Correct.
That's right. I'm gonna remember that one too. Yep, we have to.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
How much did you? I'm sorry. I'll let the students ask most of the questions, but I'm so curious. Watching this and then reading about Dorothy, how much time did you spend studying her? I mean, you mentioned a little bit, but
Right.
like, studying her, and I assume you've seen everything that she's ever done. I'm just guessing, but like, how much time did you think, getting ready for this? How much time did you spend researching her in that role?
Okay,
Do
time.
you think? I mean, I know you don't know exactly.
I guess, well, because I did the first one I did, well, actually the first time I portrayed Dorothy was oodles of years ago in the award-winning North on South Central, and I had a small part. So, I have some interesting stories about that, but I really didn't study that much, because I just felt her channeling through me. I really did, and that show was a phenomenon. I mean, it got 9 nominations, and I think it won 5 theater awards. And there's a quick funny story about that. We go out to meet the audience, right? So I go out there, and guess who's sitting in this wheelchair? Fayard Nicholas. And he grabbed my hand, and Fayard Nicholas is Harold Nicholas's brother, and Harold Nicholas was Dorothy's husband. He grabbed my hand, and he said, oh, in his horsey voice, you remind me so much of like Dorothy out there. I mean, I have so many stories. Johnny Cochran, he came to me and said, come to me, Dorothy. And Marla Gibbs said, oh, she was so much like Dorothy out
Explain to
there.
them who they are.
Okay, Johnny Cochran, he's he's passed away, but he was a very prominent lawyer. He helped a lot of other lawyers in their careers to get their career started, and he helped the community. He did a lot of pro bono stuff for the community.
If you know who O.J. Simpson is?
Oh, I didn't want to say that. He was his
He's
lawyer.
probably best known.
Yeah,
That's true.
Yeah, he
He
did a
got
lot.
O.J.
Michael
Simpson
Jackson's
on.
attorney and one time.
Yeah, he was a phenomenal person. I attended his funeral. It was huge at West Angeles Church. And Marla Gibbs, she was in, have you seen any clips of the shows 227 or The Jeffersons?
Way back in the day.
Way back, she played the part of the
70s,
maid.
She's Like a comedian.
comedian.
Oh, yeah.
And she sings too, and that's the other thing. If you have something else, it's up to you, but it's good if you have many little things. You know, if you can sing, you know, do it. If you can write, do it. If you can collaborate with someone on film writing or directing, do it. If you have the talent for it, do it. Try it out, because you never know what can happen. You know. What else? Where was I? I was talking about the Dorothy. I would say for this show, and for the other show that I did first, my first solo Dorothy show, Lonely Girl, I had a whole stack of like 10 things, a combination of books, DVDs, etc. And I looked at those as well, but mainly the reading, like, because I didn't want to imitate her. I wanted Dorothy's character and spirit to be in here and just to flow out. I didn't want to mimic her. Because there's a difference when somebody's mimicking somebody rather than somebody has read about them. I mean, I read interviews. Her big, thick book, Dorothy's autobiography, has so much information on it. You feel like she's talking to you as she's speaking. You know about her interviews, more in depth about her childhood and her special child and what the media did to her, etc., etc. And that made me be able to read through the lines. Like, for instance, Cleopatra, you know the movie Cleopatra? I read between the lines, and then in that book, it said it in that book, that they like kind of teased Dorothy to make her think. That's how much she was blacklisted in the society because of her affiliation with civil rights and what she was doing. They made her think that she was going to be the part of Cleopatra. They had her wear the costumes, they had her put the makeup on, and they used her skin tone to develop the makeup for Elizabeth Taylor, and she played the part of Cleopatra. So there was another stump on her.
Yeah, I saw that on the thing. That was interesting.
Yes.
It's really interesting that she was
Yes.
actually cast first.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And then they just used her, but I believe that was another stump. You know how some people want to grind somebody in the ground by doing, the industry was trying to do that to her, but she kept rising up, she kept rising up. So it's really a story of inspiration and determination. So I would say, and spread out over time, probably, maybe, but not all at the same time now.
Right.
Just to add it up, probably about maybe a year, throughout, maybe a year or a year and a half.
Cool.
Yeah. And photos, I would look at photos a lot. Like, I would go on Pinterest and find all the pictures of Dorothy Dandridge and go on Google. And when people post pictures, I'm like, I've seen that, because I've seen nearly all of the pictures of her. I'm serious. I'm like, I want to see a new one, But I would love to see a picture of Dorothy and Marilyn together, because they were very, very close. That's all in her book. A lot of society doesn't know that, but back then, you really couldn't be photographed, like hanging with your career. There was so much racism in this country back then. I was so surprised when I saw a picture of Ella Fitzgerald with Marilyn Monroe. But that was at the Savoy Club, I think, where Marilyn Monroe got Ella Fitzgerald to stay there and perform, because they weren't going to let her there. They said, oh, she's not pretty, she's not svelte, she's black. So Marilyn said, listen, because Marilyn was listening to Ella Fitzgerald's tapes. And when I was working in Japan, they had a Marilyn Monroe Day. And when they were playing Marilyn's early recordings, she sounded a lot like Ella Fitzgerald. And that is why, because she studied her. And what happened with the Savoy Club, this is just goes to show you don't know how things are going to happen. Here Ella Fitzgerald is, wonderful performer, singer. The Savoy Club would not hire her because she was black and because she was, she wasn't svelte, she wasn't slim, etc. And Marilyn Monroe, I know you all knew Marilyn Monroe is, right? Marilyn Monroe went to the urn and he said, listen, if you hire Ella Fitzgerald, I would sit in the front row every night. And of course, Marilyn did, and the crowds just streamed in, and Ella got to work at the Savoy Club. So little things like that, like if Ella was, you know, had an attitude or anything like that, she just would say, oh, I'm not gonna work here, and she'd be sad. But who knew that Marilyn Monroe, who had been studying Ella and using her in her recordings to sing like her, which she, if you go back, you will hear what I'm talking about. Who knew that Marilyn Monroe would come into the picture then? Nobody but the Divine Order. And if Ella wasn't ready for it and wasn't open to it or had an attitude or was being down in the dumps about it, it probably would not have happened. You have to keep your spirits up in spite of everything. Yeah.
Keep on working hard.
Ella's the best.
Yes.
Did you guys study her in your classes yet? Have they got Ella?
You guys know Ella Fitzgerald?
I know her, but we're not studying it.
Tisket a Tasket, some songs.
She's the best.
Scatting, she's a phenomenal scat
Yeah,
singer.
she
Sure.
is. Yeah.
She was like the queen.
Did she work with Quincy Jones? Did you read 12 Notes?
Yeah. I'm trying
I
to
think
think.
that's what I
I
heard.
think so. I think so.
Like a record, like a vinyl.
Oh, you have
Yes,
a
sir.
line
Like a
of hers? Oh my gosh.
So I'm a real DJ, and like a vinyl is what I DJ on. And those, I used to have crates, like about 25 crates of vinyls, full vinyls, like